What's going on, everybody? This is Jeremy Ritz of Courage Pays Better Than Fear, here with you for episode number 40 of the Courage Pays Better Than Fear podcast. And if you follow me on Facebook, you get to see some of the things that I'm working on, what I'm doing. And there, back in December, I took on a challenge to do 100,000 kettlebell swings in 31 days. And I failed. I didn't hit 100,000. I only hit 70,000, but it was a challenge, a journey that pushed me, where I definitely learned a lot about myself. And today I want to talk to you about that process where I went down swinging, trying to hit that 100,000 target. It didn't happen. And this story today is all about my failure for 100K here on episode 40 of the Courage Pays Better Than Fear podcast. Let's go. You gotta go down swinging. All right, just want to start by saying thank you so much for being back here, for supporting the channel, for liking, subscribing, sharing with your family and friends. As Edmund would say if he were here, smashing that subscribe button. And we're all about pushing the limits, pushing yourself to become a better human being, better person. You might be asking, why in the world did I take on the challenge of trying to do 100,000 kettlebell swings? Well, I wanted to push myself to see what I was capable of, if I was in fact capable of doing 100,000 swings. And prior to that, the most that I had done was probably about 10,000 in a month. So quite the jump from 10,000 to 100,000. But what I was also trying to do was to build a lot of momentum in the month of December to carry into the new year, so that, you know, hey, if I did 100,000 kettlebell swings, there's not going to be much coming up in 2025 that I can't handle. And so that was really what got me started. And if you rewind back before I started the 100,000 challenge, I did David Goggins' 4x4x48 challenge, which is to run 48 miles in 48 hours every 4 hours. But I took it a step further. I did 62.8, I believe, miles in 48 hours. And that was a crazy journey, but I wanted to sustain that momentum and hit 100,000, but I didn't. But I wanted to just take a moment to talk to you about that process, how it went, what stood out for me, what lessons I learned, so that if you want to undertake such a challenge, you at least have some insight from somebody who has attempted it. And so just to give you some of the basics, the way that it started, again, I started back in December, and I was actually trying to do it in, I think, like 18 days, which I quickly realized, no, that's not going to happen. I need a full month. And so I actually extended the deadline to 31 days, which carried it into January. And I thought that that would give me ample time to make it happen. And I used a variety of different weights for the kettlebells. I wasn't using a super heavy one. 60 pounds was the heaviest that I went, but I wasn't using 60 pounds for the entire challenge. That didn't happen, in full transparency. But I had 60, a 40 pounder, I had a 30 pounder, a 25, and I used a 15 pounder and also a 20 pounder. So there was a range. And because of the volume, the sheer volume, it turned out that you needed to do over 3,000 per day to hit 100,000. I had to use a little bit of a lighter weight. So sometimes, I was kettlebell swinging with a 15-pound weight, which someone might look at that and say, that's not doing shit. That's not doing anything. Dude, go ahead and do 70,000 kettlebell swings and tell me if it's doing something or not, because it's going to do something. So that was the range of weights that I used for the swings. And I had a lot of different approaches to try and tackle this. When I started the challenge, I just did as many as I could do in a day, and I kind of broke it down. So I'd wake up in the morning, do a little bit of work, do some swings, and just kind of chunk it incrementally and approach it from there. And I would write it down, keep track, and I wouldn't total my number until the end of the day. And then I would post it on Facebook. And I'll show you some of the pictures of my spreadsheets here on the screen so you can see how I kept track of it. And I also put together some videos that are here on the site, and I'll put a little clip too of that right here so you can see where, that's me swinging the kettlebell. But it really, it I learned a lot from the process in terms of when I do it again. Yes, when I do it again, because I'm going to get 100,000 in a month. I know how to attack it now. And I didn't really understand the best way to attack it when starting. Again, this is all a learning process and a journey. But really, what it comes down to and where I really targeted and really figured out how to do this challenge. It didn't happen until probably three-quarters of the way through the time that I had allotted. And it was to set up time chunks. So to swing for an hour and knowing that I could get over 1,000 swings in an hour, um, actually way more than that, that kind of gave me the number to say, okay, if I put in an hour here and an hour there, this is how many swings I'm going to end up with for the day. And so the problem was starting out, I didn't hit high enough numbers, and I actually took 2 days off. Actually, I think one day off. Maybe it was two. I can't remember. Again, we'll show the stats here at the end. So taking those time off, and I think I had one day where I only did like 100. That really held me back from hitting the targets. But I will tell you, I did get to the point where everything was sore, everything. And what was sore the most? It was my hamstrings, my ass was sore, like my physical, and my shoulders. I mean, really, everything was completely sore, and I was just hurting because it's just when you're sitting there for hours and hours and you're doing the movement of the swing, it wears on you. And it just so happened too that I had gotten a cold near the end of December that I'm just now getting over. And it was probably the longest cold sore throat that I ever had. And I think, yeah, not think, I know that doing 70,000 kettlebells with very minimal rest contributed to that. It probably weakened my immune system. But there came a point in the challenge where I was like, you know what? I know that just sheer math, I'm not going to get 100,000 in. I physically could if I sacrificed everything and just ignored the rest of my life, but I wasn't willing to do that with young kids and a family. And so what my final total ended up being was 70,100, I believe. And I had to be okay with that. And the truth of the matter was I set out for 100,000. I failed to hit that target. Let's be completely honest. I failed. I didn't hit it. But I'm still proud of myself in the sense that I did 70,000 swings in 31 days. Because how many people can say, yeah, I did 70,000 kettlebell swings, maybe over the course of a couple years, but in 31 days, it really made me feel confident in what I'm capable of and what's possible. And again, I'm not letting this go. I'm coming back for that 100,000 probably sometime near the end of April into May once I finish the marathon that I'm training for now. But I'm going to get it. I will have that number. And I just wanted to just go over some of the other lessons that I learned from this process. And so a couple things when going back and doing this, when I take my next shot at this, I'm going to be a lot better prepared because I'll actually know what the hell I'm doing, having tried this once. But the first thing that I'm going to do is respect my body. I really did not emphasize nutrition enough, hydration. I could have been better in both of those areas. And really just working on flexibility and stretching and just some massage to really keep me fresh to be able to make it. And so those are going to be some things that I'm really going to key in on. And also just listening to my body. There were a few more than a few days where I felt like death. And I just kept swinging, right? And so I have to have a better plan of action for when that comes up, for how I'm going to deal with it and manage it. And again, it can't be taking rest days. So I have to figure out what is my process for that. And I'm hoping that by enhancing my nutrition, my hydration, massage, stretching, and actually maybe some sauna or some cold plunge, I can help with that so that I'm in a better physical shape, better mindset so that I can hit that 100,000 mark. So definitely making sure I'm paying attention to my body and doing things to be proactive from a nutrition, hydration, stretching standpoint. And then the other piece is just having a better plan. my plan when I said I was going to do 100,000, I was like, all right, well, I'm just going to see how many I do and going to try to increase every day how many reps I do and hit 100,000. And I was like, oh, well, I'll just have a couple days where I do 10,000 swings. Yeah, that didn't happen. And so knowing that when I head back into this process again, the total I think comes out to a little over 3,100 swings per day. And so I'll know that and I'm going to be finally scheduled. This is all going to be plotted, pre-planned, prepared so that come the end of April into May, I know what my target is and I hit it and I get after it. And I have that 3,100 every day. I stick to it, knock it out. If I do more, great. But having a better plan in terms of the numbers I have to hit will help me hit that 100,000 target. Like I said, I came into this and my plan was just, yep, I'm going to do 100,000 swings. But being nuanced, having a strategy, having gone through this, I'm going to be better prepared and I will hit that 100,000 number the next time around. The other thing too is just, there were times where stuff would come up with family that would cut into the kettlebell swings and that has to take priority, obviously. But what I'm going to do this next time when I approach this challenge is I'm going to try to have everything, the bulk of the swings done in the morning. So super early wake ups, and then what's left for the remainder of the day, I could fit those in at night or just squeeze some reps in. And so just being better planned to be able to deal with what life requires of me from a family standpoint as a husband and a father, which is most important. And so fitting those things in when everybody's asleep or going to bed, that's going to help me be better prepared for 100K. And then the last thing is just being proud of myself, celebrating the fact that I would have days where I did 3,000, 4,000. I think I had a couple days where I did 5,000 swings. And again, I'll have that posted up here in the stats here at the end. But just being proud of myself for what I accomplished. When I was in the middle of it, I was like, this sucks. This is terrible. This is stupid. I don't know why I'm doing this. The soreness, just feeling like crap, looking at how many I had to do, and then realizing that I wasn't going to hit 100,000. I beat myself up. I was like, man, I said that I was going to do this. I was telling people on Facebook, I got this. I'm going to hit the target, and I didn't. But at the end of the day, I still did 70,000 swings. And so just being proud of myself that I was putting in the effort every day, I was swinging every day, that I was working to achieve it. I should have gave myself a little bit more credit instead of being hard on myself and beating myself up. And that's the other thing too. So when I would put my post on Facebook for, all right, here's my number totals for the day, and I'd be like, yeah, I'm going to get it. I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to hit my target. There was a little bit of overconfidence and arrogance in those posts. So I was humbled. That 100,000 smacked me in the teeth and said, not yet, brother. You are not ready. But I will be ready. I'm mentally prepared now, physically prepared. I've got those 70,000 swings under my belt, and I'm coming for you 100,000. Hear me just say not being overconfident or arrogant, but I'm going to get it coming in April, and I can't wait to do that and then do another video to say, hey, I did it. I hit 100,000. So here on Courage Pays Better Than Fear, it's all about challenging yourself, pushing yourself to the limits, learning about what you're capable of, what's possible for you, and hopefully my 100,000 kettlebell swing challenge that I failed gives you some inspiration, some hope, some motivation to get after whatever that target is that you want to achieve. And even if you fall short of a big goal and you land close to it, you're still going to become a better person from that. You're going to learn a lot about yourself. So I would encourage you, take on a big, crazy goal that people look at you and think, what in the hell are you doing that for? And your response can be, because I can. I want to learn about myself. I want to grow. I want to be better. So take on that challenge, push yourself, find where your limits are, and bust through them. And again, that's what I'm going to be doing again when I take this challenge on again towards the end of April, once the marathon's over. But I appreciate everybody's support of me during that challenge. It meant a lot, all the posts on Facebook. Appreciate those very much. And let me know down in the comments, what is a challenge that you took on? Physical, mental, learning, whatever, that really pushed you to the brink, that taught you a lot about yourself. And what were some of those lessons that you learned? I would love to hear those in the comments. Please like, subscribe, share with your family and friends. And I'm going to see you back here next week for another brand new episode of the Courage Pays Better Than Fear podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Ritz, saying, go do some damn kettlebell swings. And join me when I do this again toward the end of April. And until then, make it a phenomenal day. Take care, everybody.
And I'll tell you this, if you